We're very happy to be supporting and sponsoring Pasture Summit this year. Pasture Summit, importantly, being a farmer-led and run group focused on sustainable farming communities and maximising pasture. At On-Farm Support, it's our aim to support farmers to continue to be successful in a changing world. So that means we can come sit down with you, help understand where you are in your business, help get you to where you want to be by tapping into the right expertise and knowledge that you need. So in this session, we've got a bit of a dream team panel to discuss pasture management centred around the Armstrong farm we are here today on. So firstly, to introduce our panel, we have Daniel and Monique Newell, who are the contract milkers on the farm and run the cutter on the day-to-day management. No one gets into farming because of their love of public speaking, and these guys are no different. And we really appreciate them being prepared to speak and share today. I've had the privilege to spend some time with these guys leading into today's event. They're a really great young couple, and there is some real depth to what goes on here. Next, we've got Grant Leigh, who's the farm consultant who has regular input into pasture management plans using tools such as FarmX and others, which we'll dig into during the session. And we've got John Roche, who placed himself down there in the front, who will play a bit of a cameo in terms of connecting some of the practices at play and linking that to the science. As I said, there's some real depth to what goes on here, which we hope we're able to dig into with some questions from me to set things up, but more importantly, your questions to delve into the things you as farmers want to take out of it today. We've got 20 minutes for the panel discussion, and then we've actually dedicated 30% of the time of this session to your questions at the end. If you've got burning questions, by all means, put your hand up and we'll answer those as we go, but there's definitely plenty of time at the end. So now we'll get in the way of the session. And I'm going to start with Monique. So it's apparent from previous discussions that pasture management on this farm involves the whole team. Keen to start with you, Monique. Given team culture is an area where you play a big role, can you tell us a little bit about the importance of team and what is done to create this?
Yeah, so, sorry, can you hear me? Yeah. Team culture is one of the main aspects that we do focus on the farm here. So we have our 5 full-time staff on the Alton farm, which is this one you're on, and 1 full-time manager down at the Wadiaka farm. And Daniel obviously can't be everywhere at once, so he relies heavily on the Tuaisi here and the manager down at the Wadiaka. And the 4 other staff members, they make up a mix of skill and experience. And the way that we really get the farm rolling together is at the end of the day, it is the team that really keeps it running. So the communication really is key, and the way that we that helps us, we find, is we do a mix of formal and informal meetings. So the formal meetings, they are the team meetings that involve the whole team. This is when we talk about what's happening on the farm, anything that's coming up, and just making sure everyone's on the same page. And then we have our informal meetings, so these are our one-on-ones that we have with each staff member, and these are what we find highly essential for us. So this is when it's just Daniel and I and 1 staff, and we just talk about any positive feedback, any constructive criticism if necessary, and just overall see how they're doing. And it's also a really good time for them to bring up anything to us, so any frustrations that they have going on the farm, any ideas, or also get to know their interests and their goals. And when we get to know them like this is when Daniel brings it onto the farm and he can really assign jobs to what their interests are and what their strengths are. And so when a mix of communication with our staff and Daniel assigning the right jobs to each staff member, that's when really the whole operation benefits, and yeah, you really get to see the farm really come together. So it's really cool to see.
Awesome, thanks for that. I really like the balance of the informal and the formal meetings. When we sat down to plan out this day, the guys here were really certain that it all started with the team, and so that's why we've led with that. Thanks for that, Monique. Now getting into the detail of what drives your results in the pasture space. Daniel, Daniel, we'll move to you now. And if I can refer everyone to their books, the guys have put in a bit of time to sort of set out, I guess, some of the key targets they have and the focus areas on the farm. So page 34 is probably somewhere you can start with there. And Daniel will talk through a bit of this. But Daniel, if you can talk to your focus areas for each season, which is what he's broken it down to, and how you actually achieve these on farm, and perhaps highlight the things that you think make the biggest difference.
Yeah, no, cheers, Leigh, and thanks, mate. Right, so just to back up what Monique was talking about here is our team culture environment is definitely extremely important to us. Sort of coming through the winter, which is generally pretty cruisy and whatnot, from the 1st of August, it's like a light switch and it just turns up real fast. We start calving around the sort of 2nd, 3rd of August. We have heifers start a little bit earlier, but we go from the cruisy winter to all of a sudden having about 8 mobs of cows, 3 mobs down on the Waiaka Road. We have 6 and 7 people running around trying to achieve something, and through that busy period through August is the hardest part, and we're trying to make everyone do the best they can. I just generally feel like we're trying to achieve 90% of absolutely everything over the whole entire farm. But there's a lot of plans in place from likes of Grant and Johnny speak regularly. But spring rotation plan is something super simple, and at least for the whole month of August, I make sure that's like really strict with that. So I've got to try and find a way to make sure my guys just understand some basic stuff, square meters per cow, setting fences in the right spots, listing all 8 mobs on the whiteboard, which fences go where, all that kind of stuff. And I try my very best, and again, going back to the 90% pass mark, it really doesn't matter sometimes when the fences aren't quite in the right spot, or if it's a big banana shape or just wrong panic, whatever. But the focus area is actually sticking to the spring planner, which starts with Grant and us together speaking about, moving through the springtime. And with what Monique's talking about team culture, I'm just trying to trust that our guys can do it the best they can all the time. Getting through August is definitely square meters per cow and sticking to that. Coming sort of further into September, we can carve well past halfway within 10 days. It's pretty full on like 500 in the first sort of 7-8 days. There's lots of moving parts, lots going on. And it's really important that we have the cow shed humming and easy so that I make sure that the grass is getting fed properly. Coming into sort of September, a lot more milks and stuff like that. But the pasture cover should be, aiming for that sort of 1900 mid-September. And I believe it'd be a lot easier to be at 1900 than to be at 2100. I'd be a lot more nervous sort of late September if the cover was still too high. And again, it goes back to making sure my guys get it right, that they've got the plan in place, and that we can set up August to make September easy, and then set up September to make October easier. And the residuals are, it's definitely crucial to get that right. We're trying to, carve fast, do all we can, get through that springtime, but the residuals are definitely a main priority. Then going through to October, we generally don't go faster than 21 day round. We won't really have much more than 15% out for silage at any one time. Most of the farm, like you would have seen before, like not all of the farms actually even mowable as well. So we're constantly checking and I'm constantly making sure that the hill paddocks are always grazed down really well. Might do slightly shorter grazings on the trickier paddocks. You know, and we come into October and we've gone from 8 mobs in August, and now we have 3 milking mobs, and that's set up. Might have like all the old cows on the top side of the farm and all the young cows on the bottom side, but then actually have a third milking mob with about 150 cows that are really close to the shed. And it also gives me another grazing tool. So, you know, we do 24-hour grazing as well, and make sure that they all have a nice feed coming in afternoon milking and it's night time. But in the morning, we do have these options with the sort of smaller mob to clean up, another mob that might not have finished. And again, talking about keeping the guys, I'm trying to always understand exactly what's happened and get feedback from the guys to then try and make the best decision going forward to really nail the residuals all the time. And then we're adding supplement on top of that. But as soon as we meet, you know, balance date, whether sort of late September or something, we'll remove the PK straight away. And in a perfect world, we'd remove the PK and then we'd have silage paddocks skipping sort of a couple of days later. And yeah, with the silage, it's definitely more of a not too much at any one time, but we're happy to cut. We might just have a portion of what we've got skipped, and still always have one paddock up our sleeve as sort of a backstop, because you know weather changes so much all the time, and yeah, then coming through to the summertime, like right now we're on a 27-day round. Our focus is we've tried to do all this work in August, September to set us up for November. We've had a lot of growth and storms coming through all at the same time just recently. We've just cut some haylage, but very cautious about not cutting too much this time of year. Because if we, you know, come into Christmas time, we might end up running, you know, it could be dry. So we're always trying to get 1 month right to set us up for the next month, and like coming in with grant, that's exactly how we're speaking each month, reviewing what's happened in the previous month and planning for the next month. Yeah, and then summertime, probably just a bit of survival really, I think. We can cull hard as soon as we know, you know, empties and all that kind of stuff. We're feeding the silage that we get from the runoff and whatnot, whatever's made on farm as well. We'll add PK in, and like Ian had mentioned before about, we do always actually get amazing growth in April within reason. So we're trying to just get through the summer to set ourselves up for the autumn, which is also when we get the best response, which I found out before. Cheers, John. So that all works out really well too. So, and then yeah, coming into dry off, we'll condition score late March. Local vets just do that. Every cow gets a score. We match that with their calving day. We just have them in a complete full ranking list of who needs to be dried off early April, late April, mid-May, you know, maybe late May as well sometimes. But we're definitely trying to milk every cow twice a day for as long as possible, no matter what. But yeah, in terms of the supplement use, it's really the springtime at the start, and then we're using round length to get through the summer, and then round length coming into April, we'll push that out to 40 days, and then 6 days in May, to then set us up for the winter, purely on condition score and trying to be average pasture cover around 2,400 on the 1st of June, to then go back to the cruising winter. So, yeah.
And start the next season.
Yeah, start next season, yeah.
Hey, thanks for that. It's just dropping into the mechanics of some of the stuff, like it's a bit like the condition score of the cows and when to dry them off, and I guess a lot of us would have similar targets. talking about the residuals, and previously we talked about the 1500 that you look to hit. Can you drop us into the mechanics of that? Like, I know that the farmer's got a no topping policy, so you haven't got that as a tool. So you kind of need to get it right as you go. How do you achieve that? Is this getting up at 10 o'clock at night because the 1500 time to move them, or how does that?
Yeah, so in terms of residuals, we definitely 24-hour graze as much as possible throughout the whole entire season. And the theory is that every night time they go into a new break, so then there's no shifting after milking, night time. Come in next morning, I'll get feedback from all the guys with how the grass situation is. And then we've just got the options of either shifting earlier, like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. They're going to be totally fine in the paddock they are. They might leave some behind, so we're going to have to back graze that the next day. We're obviously very mindful about round length and not trying to go too fast all the time. But we do sort of have policies or a plan in place with Grant. But yeah, it's just the idea is that we have these options the next day to either shift or not shift. And we've got different mob sizes to maybe be a different mob that finishes that paddock. And in terms of like measuring the grass, like we just use CDAX or aimer, or I just see in my eye. Each guys in my team, they all might have a slightly different calibration of what they see the grass as. And I just, as I get more to know them, I can just give them feedback on what I think they should do, knowing what they will be seeing. But it was actually like Grant taught me when I first turned up about something as simple as just the dinner plates left in the paddock. And I'm trying to teach that to my guys, something simple rather than use a plate meter specifically on a number, because if 5 people do a plate meter, you get 5 different answers sometimes. So even just, good size dinner plates, just trimmed off the top too low. There should be gaps between the dinner plates and all that kind of stuff. In terms of residual, that's exactly what we're looking for. But yeah, being mindful not to go too fast at the wrong time.
Cool. Another question for you, and I'm going to bring Grant in here as well. So if we're talking about the tools that you use for pasture management, and how you gather data across the team and communicate it, I will start with you again, Daniel, and then Grant, if you can discuss some of the on-farm, the higher level feed budgeting tools you use. But what are the tools that you use for pasture management?
Yeah, just like before, it's basically definitely nearly weekly pasture scores, and Logan on the Wadiaka Road, like he'll just use a plate meter every week, and he's absolutely nailed it this season. The big place is obviously spread out a bit more, but with the CDAX, it's definitely easy to get a very consistent result. Doesn't matter if Sean, Sheena, myself, doesn't matter who's driving it, it's just the same thing. We keep it as basic as possible. I'm definitely trying to get into that aimer scene and waiting for it to maybe improve more as well. So all those kind of tools work for me, and all the feed budgets and stuff like that. But I think just driving around the farm and monitoring what's going on and like just, I mean, I've been here for a while now, so I can easily remember what happened last round, and just trying to collect that all and just try and make the best decision on the morning, I suppose. Yeah.
And I see on your page here you've got the weather app. You use that a bit. Does that
Yeah, so we have a thing called Harvest, which is just straight on your phone. It's soil temp, moisture, how much rain you had, and it's the most interesting part is which month, which part of the year you're in, and the decline in moisture in October compared to November, compared to December, and then coming through to summer. Like we're sitting just in a perfect zone right now, but it's declining way faster than what it was in October. and it's something that the Armstrongs have invested in that like long time ago, and I feel like I wouldn't really want to be farming without it now. In terms of like the soil temp and all that kind of stuff, that's perfect for when applying fertilizer and all that coming from the winter through spring. And I think it makes it easier to forecast what might happen in the next 10 days. It's obviously easy to see what you've been through in the last 10 days, but knowing the moisture, checking forecast, all that kind of stuff definitely makes it easy to make decisions going forward, for sure, yeah.
We started off with the team, and I know you do some stuff there around, it'll be WhatsApp groups or what boards, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so, and also, in our farm office, we've all got whiteboards, WhatsApp group text, all that kind of stuff. It's really good stuff. It's awesome. We definitely made a massive point of not letting it get toxic, because everybody has a personality, everybody's got an opinion. And being in a team environment, try and keep those stuff as simple as possible, and that people can say, what they want when they want, but once you put it in a group chat, it sort of definitely ruins the team environment for sure. But that stuff is really important. But funny enough, one of my guys actually lost his phone about mid-August and hasn't had a phone since, and he's turning into a regular phone. He's having to figure stuff out by himself, because he has to drive back to the country to find someone to then ring me. Phones are great, Google Maps, all that are good, but it's no phones are probably around too.
So you've alluded to a few things in the discussion. Spring rotation planners and what to bring you in there. Farm X is something that's been discussed. If you can just give us a window into your catch-ups on farm and a bit about those tools.
So we probably through the summer and autumn, Johnny and I will get together and do a bit of a Farm X plan. Where we look at what we think the payout might be and feed costs. And then it gives us a quick snapshot of whether we're going to change much. We don't yet. And then they can go and cash flow it. The point of that being, by the time we hit the 1st of June, we know the farm plan, and Daniel knows it, and we can, and we know it's cash flowed, so that anything that happens, we always measure against the farm plan that we create through FarmX, and we know it's how it's affecting cash flow to those guys. We create the FarmX farm plan and we measure against it through the season. There's a lot of good info. We use measure what our score, the big you get to look at pasture cover, pasture growth. We can line up fertiliser around when I put it on. Yeah, that's the main one we use each month. And then we have smaller feed budgets, I guess, where we winter feed budget on an old Excel spreadsheet that Ian will tell you he wrote, but I actually did most of it, and then it's got FarmWise's name on it. And then spring rotation planner, which is based on calving spread, not just the American, but most of them are now. And we spend a lot of time making sure the plans are correct for Daniel and Monique. And the great thing here, whatever tools we use, those are the main ones. But the great thing that happens here is that it actually happens on farm. So the principles are pretty simple. Like they regularly on the grass, which sounds like everyone should do it, but it doesn't happen. So Daniel's connected to the grass team, so 90% of the time the right decisions are being made with residual. That's the thing that's hard to do at scale. You've got multiple people looking at pasture. We've got a development system that can do that. So we have a solid plan set up for them that we know is right through to the cash flow in the morning for those guys, the Armstrongs. And then these guys have a plan, then they know it's going to work, and they follow it, and I come and check up on them and make sure they're doing it right.
Thanks. So we sort of talked about the tools, and you've dug into the data that's coming out of those. Are you able to give us a bit of insight about some of that decision-making process off the back of those tools? So you've got harvesters, you know, talking to you previously, Daniel, you kind of know what growth rate you're going to get because you're looking at that stuff. You've got your wedges, you've got farm acts, that just maybe digging into I guess that decision-making piece, that next bit, you've got to...
So the thing is with our farm plan or budgets, it never goes to plan, but by measuring against it, budget action on all these KPIs, it raises a flag, and it's and that could be a good thing or a bad thing. So, like if the growth rate's high, the cover's low, what's gone wrong? Or there's always it's a flag. Or if your body condition's too low and you've had great growth, what's happened? So we use the budget actual to give us a flag. To we normally come and talk about what's happened. We do the numbers, put the numbers in, and it tells us where to look really, and then we talk about going forward. What are the kind of extreme cases that could happen, and we know what the middle road is. So it's using the plan to give us a gauge, I guess. Have a plan, but be flexible.
Cool. John, I sort of said if there was anything to link us back to science around this stuff, just a couple of minutes, and then I really want to get out to the group to be able to ask some questions. Yeah,
no worries. Look, I won't keep long. That was incredibly refreshing, guys. It reminds me of the days when I used to listen to Paul Bird on the other side of the world, or Shannon or Alice Lorraine. TV consultants revolutionised our business in Ireland by just teaching us these basics of farming. So the key things from a science point of view, the spring rotation planner is cheap, and as apparently disregarded as it has become, is still the most important tool for pasture. And I know there are cynics out there that talk about controlled starvation. Look, that's the spring rotation planner is about managing pasture. It's nothing to do with feeding cows. You can make your decision around feeding cows. Spring rotation planner is about getting the most out of your pasture. And the work that came up with the spring rotation planner by Arnold Bryant back in the early 80s proved that if farmers stuck to the spring rotation planner rather than opening up the ground when cows were tight, they grew an extra 500 kilograms of dry matter per cow. 500 kilograms dry matter per cow by just sticking to the spring rotation planner before it was ever called a spring rotation planner. So you think of the amount of supplements that are going into some of our dairy systems now, when people have actually thrown the spring rotation planner out, how much of it is because they're not managing the pasture the way you're managing it, Dan and Monique. The other thing, obviously, you can see the pasture growth curve behind the guys here. The mountain influences it because it's cold in the winter, and therefore you've got these massive peaks in the spring. And then the coast, I'm presuming, is influencing it in the summer as well. So you're drying out. That's not an easy curve to manage. And again, what you just described sounds like common sense, but common sense is like deodorant. The people that need it the most use it the less. Look, I think just sensational. I've nothing to add to that, Liam. I think ask questions.
No, that was great, Ed. So if we just go out to the group now for a few questions.
I really enjoyed the presentation. What interests me here is the reliance on other people making key decisions around the place. How do you get on when you're replacing a staff member? What are the key things you look for with potential candidates?
That's perfect. To be honest, I think apart from the manager's role or the 2IC role, the sort of more junior roles is just wanting a person with a good attitude. We've never really been set so much on the roles to run the farm. We just try to find good people and then fit a role to them. So attitude and wanting to give farming a go would be far more extreme than someone that's have said they've already done it all, but you know, they might have been around a few farms and whatnot. I would definitely just be looking for attitude and enthusiasm. Even Sean, that's our 2IC now, he had done a little bit of dairy farming, but he came in just as a normal first entrance junior, and now he's in his third season and he's our 2IC, and we can leave the farm, no worries at all. But he's keen to give it a go. He's never too worried, he's a pretty chill guy, and he's happy to work. So yeah, it's definitely attitude and enthusiasm as far as I go.
Yeah, do you hear about instructive performance reviews as well or not?
Yeah, not formal ones, sorry. No, definitely not formal ones. But when Monique talked about one-on-one just sort of meetings with them, I think that we get a lot more out of that than anything else, because we could sit down with them and try and ask goals or whatnot, but sometimes people's theories or what they're not enjoying about the job is completely different, or you know, something from at home that they're not enjoying the job about. So the formal side of things we're probably a bit shy on, but the team culture, the attitude, enthusiasm, we just try and feed off that. If they want to learn everything and be here today and take everything from John and Grant, like good on them, we'll support them. But if they're not so much interested in that, we just leave them to it and happy as.
And I think as well, one of the main things that we're taking away doing those one-on-ones is recognizing how many of the staff haven't had even positive feedback before, and they really take it on board, and it just makes them feel more valued and supported. And yeah, you definitely notice that a lot more in the one-on-ones.
In terms of people management skills, did you guys just come to it naturally, or did you get some training, or what's the story? In terms of people management skills, did you get formal training, or just come by instinct, or because where I'm living in the Waikato, the number of farms is declining, but the amount of land is not in dairy, but it's just getting much bigger, and so running teams is something most people weren't brought up doing.
You can talk about your 5 years in the shearing game as well.
Yeah, I've done, I was sheep shearing in Taranaki and Taipei before I started dairy farming. But I think that I haven't done necessarily formal training, another formal thing we haven't done, but
I think it just comes back to attitude as well.
yeah, but also the experience we had where we started in Dunedin, Monique and I then moved to Oamaru on a bigger scale farm. That was like 1,700 cows over 2 sheds. So we've got lots of experience with sort of big teams and scale then. And then we come back to Taranaki, did a smaller farm back towards Eltham for 3 years, had 1 staff member. That was a bit of an experience and really good. But when I come to work for the Armstrongs, it probably winged it a little bit at the start. And I think just over time and having a bit of patience is probably what built our team culture, especially.
I think also Daniel he's not very reactive, so if something bad happens, he doesn't lose it. He definitely doesn't lose it, and he definitely gives it time and then goes back and talks about it. And I think that the staff definitely value that a lot. Yeah.
I think they actually care about the staff too, and they teach. They actually teach them some skills that they're interested in doing, and they take an interest in them truly as another human, and it reflects in what happens on the farm. So we need more employers that take an interest in those people that are coming on to work with them. So we, when we started farming, we had great older people that taught us things. So there's not as many people doing that these days, I don't think. So these guys are a great example of no formal training, but doing the basics well and caring about other people.
We've probably got time for one more question, and then we'll be heading. Yeah.
Yeah, just wanted to ask, do you think this farm's got any potential, or a farming sweet spot able to take the ups and downs, or is there any areas you think could maybe push it a bit, either maybe increasing or decreasing stocking rate increasing or decreasing supplement?
Oh, I'm going to jump in again. Sorry, guys. Well, we've actually changed a little bit. I've been here for 8 years, and Ian was running it, and now Johnny's running it. We managed to get the stocking rate down a little bit, so we try and better per cow performance. And so we have made a change, but I think the beautiful thing here is that it is consistent just with basics and trying to do the basics well. And that's probably, I think they're doing really well. Like profit is the guiding principle, and that's happening really well. So to add things in, to push things, I don't know if that's the way to go. Yeah. It's operating very, very successfully for a long period of time.
Very good. Oh, thanks for that. Not 12:15, and that was the exact time that we had to move on. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you, and we'll and a big round of applause for the panel here.